today. I know it's how excited you are about today's episode. It's a big one for FCE. We've got our first footballer on, but more importantly, it's someone who's special to the club you support. I'll let you do
it is, yeah, mate. We can't. As a Charlton fan, we couldn't be asking for a better footballer to start with. We've got Johnnie Jackson on the pod, ex-Charlton captain, current Charlton assistant manager. If you look back over the last 10 years of Charlton's history, he has been at the front of everything. He's an absolute icon and legend of the Valley, and I think I speak for every Charlton fan that they'll be incredibly excited to hear what he's got to say.
I know exactly how excited you are, so let's not delay anymore. Let's get him on.
Let's do it. Do that.
So, Johnny, thanks a lot for joining us. Really appreciate this. And Jack and I are massive football fans, and normally we'd dive straight in and hammer you about football questions, but you've made a bit of a stir in the media with your music. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I'm not a footballer or a coach anymore. It's more about a musician these days.
And not a bad one either.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm into my music, always have been, but I've played the guitar like since a teenager, really. So just had a bit of time on my hands in this period, so I've just been messing about on the guitar quite a bit, messing about with different songs, and sending a few little bits to a couple of pals of mine who was like, "Oh, you got to send them out." And I was reluctant. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to like. I've never played publicly, or that wasn't what I was looking to do really. But then sort of thought about the fundraising aspect of it, because obviously where I was meant to be doing a marathon a few weeks ago as well, and that got postponed. So the fundraising went on the back burner a little bit. So I was then trying to think, how can I sort of tie the two together? So I got the club involved, and they helped with like putting it out on Twitter and stuff like that. And it went from there, just putting it different targets on it and coming up with different songs every time we hit a target, and it just turned into a bit of fun after that. So it was good.
It's done really well. I think it was over £6,000 wasn't it, when I looked yesterday?
Yeah, we're on about $6,500 now. With the gift aid, it's nearly £8 grand for the charity. So it's been brilliant.
Well done.
And yeah, we crashed through the, what you have to raise. We're through that already. So. Yeah, I mean, I put the singing on the back burner now, but we'll come up with a few different ideas closer to, it's meant to be rescheduled for October. So if we can get some like little things in before that, then hopefully we should push up toward, just try and get a few more quid. But to get what I've got so far has been brilliant.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely be chipping in with a donation from our company as a thank you for doing this. But I've got one quick question. You said you don't do public performances. What number would we have to get it up to for you to sing at the Valley on match day?
Wow, God, it'd have to be some big number there. Have to be talking upwards of 25 grand, I reckon.
25, that's cheaper than I thought, to be fair. I think this could go out, Jacko.
I had 50 in my head, so
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We're going to make this happen.
I did say upwards of 25 grand.
Well, we'll get some Charlton fans involved. I think we could maybe get there for maybe the first game back at the Valley when the fans are allowed back in.
Yeah, God, that'd be something, wouldn't it? God, it might be a while off.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be a while off.
So, Jacko, we obviously we can't have you on the pod without talking about your career, and I want to go right back to the beginning, really. And I know you're a big Arsenal fan. I've heard you speak about being an Arsenal fan, but you obviously came through the ranks of Spurs. How did you get involved with Spurs in the first place? And just tell us a bit about kind of growing up and your football career.
Yeah, so I mean, grew up in Camden, so generally mainly an Arsenal area. My old man was a big Arsenal fan, so I was born into an Arsenal family, really. So that was always like my first love. But I just loved playing. Always dreamt of being a footballer. That was all I ever wanted to do. And then obviously playing Sunday football. So I was scouted at 10, I think 10 or 11, something like that. Really young, anyway. By a Spurs scout, and they asked me to go over there training. And at that stage, like the opportunity to go and join a professional club and perhaps make your way through the greys there. I weren't going to turn it down because I was a Gooner and it was Spurs. So I was just like sort of delighted really to get an opportunity to go to a club like Spurs. None of my pals were probably happy with me at the time, but yeah, like I mean, I just wanted to play football. But I just loved doing it. I dreamt of being a professional, and when you get that opportunity to go to a club like that, you're not going to turn it down. So it was great for me, and I had a great listen. All my mates are diehard Arsenal. Generally, where I grew up, anyway. A lot of my older mates now that I've got to know from football are Spurs fans, but all my my boyhood mates are all Arsenal, so they're all diehard. But that sort of, it's not the same for me because I came through at Spurs and had such a great education in the game, got the opportunity to play in the Premier League for them. And so, I'll always be grateful for my time at Tottenham. Like, loved it, look back with it, fond memories. I had a great sort of football upbringing, really.
Brilliant. And I think there's a game that kind of, when you talk about that rivalry, and obviously you were an Arsenal fan, but playing for Spurs, there's a game that kind of stands out for me looking back, and I think you know the game already by that Spurs. But when the Invincible team came to White Hart Lane and they kind of nicked the title there, what's your memories kind of from that day? And I don't know how you started that game.
Yeah, bit of sweet memories, really. Like, I remember like being bang up for the game and really, really wanting to win, probably more than any other game. I think probably a little bit because it was the Arsenal, my first North London derby. Wanting to, just really, really want to do well, wanting to spoil the party. But it didn't go great for me. At the time, I don't think I realised that. But when I look back, I think, it's sort of, I missed the opportunity. I think perhaps the occasion just got to me. It was a bit too much. But I mean, my mates all wind me up now because they say that I got the assist for Vieira's goal, for the first goal, because I overhit the corner. I can assure Spurs fans that weren't intentional. I take a corner and they score about 6 seconds later. I've never seen a break like it. I don't even think I got back.
Goal.
I'm not sure I'd got back in my own half yet. I'd find the balls in the goal.
So how many texts did you have after that game?
Well, it's funny. Like, one of my cousins who's a mad Arsenal fan, I got him tickets for the game. So he was obviously in the Spurs end, but he ended up climbing over the thing after the game because our tickets were right on the barrier with the away support. So he jumped over, was in the Arsenal end, celebrating with them. And I had the ump with him about that at the time. I remember that, and then a million messages from a pal saying thanks, you done the Invincibles a favour, but I didn't. I was fuming. I was fuming with my own performance. I didn't play well. It was on yesterday, I think, or the day before, because it was like the anniversary of it, and I'd forgot bits of it. I'm watching the game back, and I didn't play well, and I had a free kick right on half time, perfect position for a lefty that talked Jamie Redknapp off of it. I've got this, Jamie, and I put it about 20 foot over the bar, and I'd forgot about that. And then when I watched it the other day, I was beating myself up. Like, 15 years later or whatever it is, I'm still beating myself up. And then I got took off at half time. So it was a bit of a nightmare for me, but we did come back and draw the game. So there's a little something. But I mean, just the opportunity to play in a game like that. I always dreamt of playing in those games. So I've probably dreamt about playing for the other team, but to get the opportunity to play in it, it's just, I feel privileged, really. I just wish I'd done a bit better in the game.
And it was a proper Arsenal team, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's unbelievable, yeah. When you look at that side.
Best one of the Premier League era, do you think?
For me, yeah. For me, yeah. I mean, they probably didn't get the stats say because they didn't lose. I think there's teams definitely got bigger, higher totals, but I just think all round, when you look at the way that they played, players that they had, the style. I think in Omri, they're the best player that's ever played in the Premier League for me. Vieira, perhaps best midfielder as well. It was just a complete team. To go for a season unbeaten is something special, isn't it?
I think your point there about being a complete team, they had the grit, they had the Vieira, the decent centre backs as well, and then the absolute class as you went forward was just unreal in that side.
That's it, yeah. Like that fight to go through unbeaten. There's probably games where they had to dig one out. Real sort of hard, winning mentality. Big men as well. When you stood in the tunnel next to them, they was a big side, big, powerful side. So physically intimidating. And then you throw in the likes of Pires, Bergkamp, Henry, what they can do with a football can tear you apart, which they did to many a team. They did to us, certainly in that first half. So for me, yeah, all round the best side that the Premier League's ever seen.
Brilliant. And Jacko, obviously you started your career at Spurs, and you played games at Spurs, but you kind of then went on a bit of a loan spell, didn't you? Really, you went to different clubs, and obviously as a young lad coming from Spurs, how was that going into those dressing rooms where when you go lower down the pyramid and you go into sort of your League One, your League Two now, as it now is, but there's some big experienced pros and big characters in those dressing rooms. How was it going in there as a young lad? Was it intimidating, or were you generally welcomed with sort of open arms?
Generally, I had good experiences with all my loans. I've done on the pitch, done better in some than I did in others, but I'd say perhaps apart from Derby, I enjoyed every loan spell. Whereas for me, just to get out playing league football originally, Swindon was my first one. I played under Andy King, was the manager, and he's not with us anymore, sadly. But Kingy was a real massive character. Sort of my first taste of probably the old school, really. League football, playing for 3 points. I loved it. Really enjoyed my time there. And then sort of after that, that's all you want to do. You don't want to go back to reserve football, and
no,
it doesn't mean as much. There's no crowds. Once you've had that taste of league football and that winning sort of, the 3 points is everything, then that's all I really wanted to do after that. And my loans progressed. Had a great, just before I went back to Spurs, I was at Coventry and in the Championship. So gradually stepped up the levels and really enjoyed my time there, even though it was short, done really well. And that was when I got called back to be involved with the Spurs first team. So, and then a different experience going to Derby and Watford. That was after I'd been in the Spurs team and was no longer. And now you sort of was looking at them as maybe opportunities to turn them into permanence and sort of try and progress my career somewhere else, when you realise that it's not going to be at Spurs. And yeah, mixed bag really. Went to Derby, didn't play, so sort of had a bit of a stinker there, and then went to Watford and really enjoyed it and thought maybe I'd sign for them. And then Ray Lewin was the manager at the time and got sacked shortly after I went back to Spurs. So that one went out the window, and then you're sort of back to the drawing board really. So they're really important in your development, them loans. They give you the taste of it. They either prepare you for the first team football at your parent club, or they prepare you for a career away. And it was a bit of both for me. Prepared me to get into Spurs' team, and then after that, sort of prepared me for a career away. So invaluable learning, good and bad, really.
Yeah, brilliant.
Were you desperate at that stage for a settled club? Obviously, you moved around a bit, but were you hoping for one of them to sign you, or Spurs to call you back and say, "Look, we'll just continue"?
Yeah. So when I went at Watford, I had a really good time there. I enjoyed it, and I sort of felt like my time at Spurs was done. Okay. I didn't feel like my career, long-term career, was going to be there. So I was looking at Watford, thinking I'd love to sign for someone like that, get settled, not have to move. Yeah. So it would have been perfect for me. But yeah, by that stage, sort of early 20s, I've had a taste of it. I've played some league football, but not got loads of games under my belt. Just wanted to get cracking with my career, really. That was how I felt when I left Spurs. By the time I left there, I knew the game was up for me there. I wasn't sad about leaving. I was sort of ready to get on with my career, become a seasoned pro, if you like. So by then I was ready. I was ready to move on.
Yeah, and you obviously had a really good spell at Colchester, but I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit now. I'm a massive Charlton fan, so I just want to get there, to be honest. So let's
I can't believe you've just brushed over Colchester, because I've got a Colchester question.
Go on then, Kat. Go on.
Yeah, no, I had a great time. Colchester's a great club.
So
great club, really good for me.
The only reason is I know Jack's going to have a Charlton love in for the next few questions, and I'm an Ipswich fan, and obviously Colchester's just down the road from Ipswich, and we often look at Colchester players, sign a few Colchester players. Was it ever on the cards you signing for Ipswich?
It was, yeah, because I've done really well at Colchester in my first year, well, first 2 years, I'd say. Done really well, and I looked like possibly getting a move. And you're right, at that stage, it was either Ipswich or Norwich who nicked all of Colchester's best players. So. I remember Norwich took Jamie Curran from us when he scored 30 odd goals one year. A few moved on, and I was heavily linked with Norwich. I actually spoke with Glenn Roeder at the time. He was the manager, and I almost signed there. I can't really remember what happened in the end, but I didn't. And I was linked with Ipswich, although nothing ever come of it. But that was quite often the case with Colchester players who were doing well at the time, because even though it was at the same level, there's no getting away from it that they was bigger clubs and they had the pulling power, if you like, to come and take Colchester's best players. So I did flirt with it. It never quite happened, but
gutted.
I feel like that would have been quite a good fit actually, because I always see it do well. I scored a few times against Ipswich.
We're not talking about that one today.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, Jack, over to you and your Charlton loving.
So you got to move, Jacko. You got to move to Charlton, and I think it's safe to say that you've kind of cemented yourself as a Charlton legend. Certainly, kind of in my generation's era, you're one of the absolute sort of the players that you look to as saying they're Charlton through and through, if you like, despite the fact you're an Arsenal fan. But you've got a special relationship with the fans, and how do you really think that come about? Obviously, you put in some top performances, but what is it with Charlton fans that you kind of really cemented that relationship with?
Yeah, it's hard really to pinpoint. I always put it down to, I think, even though I weren't a Charlton fan growing up, I think the fact that I was a Londoner, sort of working class boy, which a lot of the support that Charlton is sort of a very family orientated South London club, but working class roots. So I think there was a bit of sort of like, they could tell that I was like them, if you like.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I gave sort of my style, the fact that I give everything on the pitch, which is really all they ask of you, I think that was a big factor. The fact that I came in and scored goals pretty early, because there's a few of the boys that I signed with, you'll probably remember this, Jack, sort of lads that have gone on to have good careers. Simon Francis, I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Alan McCormack, who actually got a fair bit of stick in that first year.
Yeah, probably unfairly. Well, certainly looking back now and seeing the players they become, as you say.
It was just the time, I think, of the club, and it hadn't been on a great run, and I think we was expecting to kick on, and we never really quite managed it in that first season. But because I was scoring goals, I sort of, and playing quite well, I dodged that. I dodged that stick. And then I think another part is a lot of it with the social media, the Twitter. Not that I've ever been a massive tweeter of. I don't often just tweet out things, but I had quite a bit of interaction on there.
Yeah.
Certainly, and a lot of it was in adversity. Really, a lot of it was with the bad times. I'm thinking back to the Sheffield United defeat in the cup. Yeah. Where a lot of people were looking for answers, and I've done my best to give them, even though it's sort of difficult time. But I think they appreciated just someone coming out and speaking and interaction. I'm thinking of the time, the Huddersfield defeat in the midweek, that time where we reimbursed fans, and I was sort of because I was the captain, I was the sort of the spokesman for that, if you like. Yeah. And I think even in the bad times, they appreciated just the interaction, the transparency, and being able to vent, like to take a bit of venting on the chin. but generally, it's been a good experience for me. I know it's not the case for everyone. I think with that social media, it can bring out the best or the worst of people. But for me, it's been a positive experience, and it's helped me build up good relationships with the fans, supporters, and there's loads that have built up relationships on there that I interact with regularly, even though I'm not playing anymore. That sort of stayed in contact. That's been a great way of helping me build a rapport. I know, obviously, you've got to be half decent on the pitch to go with it, and obviously I managed to do all right, score a lot of goals, captain the side to a bit of success, and give me all really. So I would say that probably answers it. That's probably why I've managed to have that sort of relationship. It's not easy to build that up, but and the longevity as well. Obviously, being there for the time that I've been there, helps build up that relationship as well.
You talk about scoring goals, and you scored a lot of goals for Charlton, but you scored some really crucial goals as well. You think back to that season under Chris Powell, we won League One, and you scored those 2 free kicks. I think it was in a week, wasn't it, against Sheffield Wednesday and then Sheffield United. I mean, they were crucial goals in that season.
Yeah, I managed to score a few, but you're right. I think a lot of them were sort of important, iconic goals, if you like. They've gone on to be anyway. So
definitely.
That definitely builds up that rapport. It makes people remember you, if you like. Obviously, that week they was our 2 biggest rivals, Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday, that season. Just to score 2 winners back to back in 1-0s. Like the selfish part of you, when you get the first one, you just want it to be 1-0. So you've scored the winner, like you can't help but be like that as a player. And so to do that back to back against rivals was obviously special. You look back at the QPR goal that season when we was in a bit of trouble that sort of got us out. There's the one against Watford where we needed to win in the penultimate game where I popped up with one. So there has been some important ones, not necessarily like technically brilliant, some of them, but the timing and the importance. Obviously, there's the one against Ipswich, the last minute equaliser at Pullman Road, which is
can't remember that one.
Not one of my best strikes, but important against her.
The headline of this podcast is going to be Johnny wished he joined Ipswich. That's definitely my takeaway. Yeah, that's fair.
I look after the social media. Jacko, that season under Powell, I think every Charlton fan looks back on that with such fond memories. And it was given the fact there was such an overhaul of players that summer before that season, it's incredible the team spirit that was galvanised under Chris that season. Can you tell us a bit about what it was like being in that dressing room and leading that dressing room?
Best time of my career. Like you say, massive turnaround in players. I think it was something like 18 new bodies come in that summer. I think it was only myself, Chris Solly, and maybe Scott Wagstaff who survived. So it was an uncertain time for me. I didn't know if obviously the gaffer had just come in the previous season, and I'd been injured for the back end of it. So still had to prove your worth to him. But they got their recruitment absolutely spot on that summer because the lads that they brought in were. Not only was they good players, really, really good players for the level, but like the best bunch of lads that you could possibly be in a changing room with. And we was like a big group of mates. Even from the first pre-season trip, we got on like brilliantly. We socialised together. It was just like going to work with your mates every day. Yeah. And there were some real good players in there too. So that's credit to the gaffer and his recruitment team managing to build a squad like that, because it's not easy, which I'm finding out now. Like getting the right blend of talent and sort of good lads, if you like, with the right work ethic isn't easy. But we managed it that season, like real down to earth, hard working bunch. That not I'm comparing us to Arsenal, but we had that where we had good players where we could win easily on our day, or we could grind one out. We could grind one out because we had the right sort of characters, or we could get a 1-0, but get 1-0 in front and then just defend the lead as well. So, special year.
And as a manager, is that luck that you get a group of players together that just become mates, or did he bring in the players that would gel with you guys? How does that work?
it's a little bit of luck involved, I guess. I suppose you've got to be a little bit lucky, but recruiting the right type, so doing your homework on the sort of players that you want to bring in, I think is important. That you've done your homework and building and creating that environment to allow that to flourish. So that's something that the manager actively encouraged us to do things together as a group. Even from that first pre-season, we done a lot in a week. We done a lot together on the training pitch, but away from it as well. So he was obviously keen to build that camaraderie. I mean, we had often at the end of your pre-season week that you'll be allowed to go out and have a beer if you do the right work, get the right work in during the week, and Paoli let us do that. I can remember being on the coach seeing we're going up. Then everyone had a few beers, everyone was a bit drunk, and we're singing we're going up, and we ain't kicked a ball yet. So it was proper. It was a real good feeling around the place. And again, credit to Paoli for, I think, and himself as well. He made you want to play for him. He made you want to win for him. He made you want to do everything you could on a football pitch for him. So again, that ain't easy. That comes from the manager, and he managed to do that season.
Brilliant. And you as captain must have played a huge role in that as well. I think you're underselling your part in that.
Yeah, well, so going back, it was interesting because going into that pre-season, I wasn't entirely sure where I stood in his plans, how much he rated me. Didn't know that I was captain yet, and he basically pulled myself and Matt Taylor at the time at the start of pre-season, and he said, "Look, it's between you two for the captaincy." And we kept alternating over the pre-season games, and obviously he was going to look at it and see who he felt was best for the job. I guess who had the biggest rapport with the players and stuff like that. And literally, I think maybe the week before the season started, he pulled us both up and said, "Look, I'm going to go with Jacko. Matt, you'll be like vice captain." And I remember at the time, desperately wanting it, feeling like I was ready for that extra responsibility, and sort of saying to myself, right, well, if I do get it, or when I get it, I'll throw myself into it. So yeah, I saw it as a huge responsibility, and I made it my business to sort of bring the group together, make sure that anyone who needed anything, just be a real sort of hands-on captain. I'd seen good and bad throughout my career, and tried to take the good stuff and then add my own sort of spin on it. So yeah, I threw myself into it, and obviously, I mean, he must have recognised the qualities in me during that pre-season to give me that responsibility. But it was definitely a springboard in my career. I think it helped me kick on and sort of maybe grow up a bit, mature a bit, and the fact that someone shows that faith in you gives you an extra confidence to go and be a better player. I think it was definitely the making of me, I felt.
Brilliant.
And you talk about kind of learning from other captains. You've obviously learned from a lot of managers, and you've now kind of switched from the playing side of things across the white line, and you're now sort of on the coaching side of things and assistant manager at Charlton now. Tell us a little bit about how that came about, and just how much, if you're enjoying it, and yeah, just kind of what it's like working with Bose down at the Valley.
Yes, I mean, so obviously you get post 30 and you start thinking about those scenes of what's going to come next, and it was a difficult, yeah, it was and it wasn't. It was a difficult decision for me to stop playing, in the sense that I loved it, and I wasn't quite ready, but I was well aware that I was nowhere near as good as that I had been. Injury problems, my hamstrings were causing me issues quite a lot. So my body was starting to let me down, but I still loved playing, and I still felt like, I was capable of playing at a decent level. But it would have meant leaving Charlton, because I knew that I wasn't capable of getting in their side anymore. So the decision was leave Charlton and carry on playing somewhere else for a year or two, or sort of throw myself into the other side of it. So I always saw myself sort of coaching at Charlton, and I didn't want to. Felt like if I left, I'd undo all the work that I'd put in, basically getting myself to a position where I was offered a coaching job at a club like Charlton straight away. Like, I mean, it doesn't happen. And I knew loads of friends that had struggled when they'd gone out, when they'd stopped playing, struggled to get into jobs and stuff like that. So to have the opportunity to go straight into coaching at Charlton, Carl Robinson was brilliant with me. As soon as he come in, I think he recognised that I couldn't be sort of a real asset to him on the pitch, but I could be off of it. And he recognised that, and he saw that in me, and offered me that opportunity. So always grateful to him bringing me onto the coaching staff as a player coach to begin with. Yeah. And that was the decision that I was left with. But ultimately, it was my heart, it was my head over my heart, really, because my heart was to play football because it's all I'd known. But my head said, look, come on, you ain't getting no better, you ain't getting no younger, and you've got an opportunity here to go into something else which potentially could, well, hopefully will be an even bigger part of your life and your career than playing. So I took that opportunity, and I think for sure it was the right decision.
How did the players react to that? Did you get booted out of their WhatsApp straight away, or were they good to you?
Well, it literally is like that, because I joined I was player coach to start with, so I was still involved really right up until I retired officially. So I was still in the players group, and then we had a sort of a splinter group off of that, of sort of closer friends that you'd go out and socialise with a bit more. Your likes of Chris Solly, and I won't name them all, but that type, if you like. And then after I retired and then became assistant manager, I had to remove myself from that group, from that WhatsApp group. So I was just writing a message saying, lads, that's me. Like, I can't be in this one no more. And I got dogs abuse as I left it, and I'm sure it's carried on since. But obviously now I don't see it, and I've gradually had to sort of step away, because it's difficult. Because I mean, not so much now, but the first year, literally, they was all my teammates, and a lot of them friends. And then you become the relationship obviously changes. The dynamic's different. You're now dropping some of them, or involved in dropping some of them every week, and leaving them out of squads and things like that, and
having a go at
can become difficult.
Wingers or saying, time and things like that.
Yeah, if Solly was to mess up for a goal, it's my ex-roommate. Do you know what I mean? It's really difficult for me to but the way I looked at it is even when they were teammates and I was a captain, I would always say what needed to be said.
Yeah.
In a changing room, at half time or after a game, if I felt it needed said, if I felt people needed criticism, if I criticised myself, I always said that anyway. So I had that to fall back on. It wasn't like all of a sudden I was saying things that I never said before. But obviously it is strange when you've got ex-teammates and friends. I'm sort of looking forward to the future when that becomes less and less. So every year as we get new players, obviously the less likely that they've been teammate to yours or mate to yours and things like that. So it sort of does become easier. But a real strange time, first of all. It still is sometimes when you have to have difficult conversations. I mean, I mentioned Solly again only because he's sort of my oldest teammate there. I used to room with him. He's a good friend of mine, but he's found himself out of the side a lot of the time this year. With the emergence of Adam Matthews, and even because of the nature of where he plays and how he plays, he's not always been on the bench, because we felt like if we were going to play him, he'd either play or he wouldn't play. He's not going to necessarily come on as a sub. And I've had to have sort of conversations like that with him that are awkward. They're awkward.
Yeah.
Because it's your mate at the end of the day. But I mean, he's been great to me. But you do find the dynamics of your relationships change. But that's always going to be the way when you what they say in the game as you step over to the dark side.
It sounds like, that being said, though, it sounds like you're really enjoying it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's been a real fast track for me. It's sort of been a whirlwind 2 years now that in assistant manager, to Lee for 2 years. I've been coaching just over 2 years, and in one respect, what I've seen and learned in that time feels like I've been doing it for years. Another time, it feels like I've only just stopped playing. So, but I mean, I feel fortunate that I've gone straight into it, because I think I'd have really struggled going out of the game and having to sort of find my way again. To have the opportunity to stay at a club that I know and love and have been there for so long, was great for me. And then to sort of have the experiences that I've had already over 2 years, good and bad, some great success on the pitch, some real turmoil off of it, is a real fast track, I feel, in coaching. And not all of it's to do with the football, is what you learn as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's been great experience, and I love it. I can't wait to get back to work. It's sort of killing me, sort of just sitting here twiddling my thumbs. Really, I just want to crack on.
Yeah, and in your short career, you've already had a big high of Wembley last year. I mean, as I say, as a Charlton fan, and all my mates would agree, and all Charlton fans I think would agree that after the few years that we'd had, as you say, a bit of turmoil, some relegations to battle with, some issues off the field, to then go to Wembley and win in the manner that we did, with almost the last kick of the game. I mean, all I remember from that day is just sort of absolute delirium. But I do remember looking back at the video and just seeing you sprinting from the sort of technical area down to the corner flag to celebrate with the players, which I think showed how much it meant to you individually. So tell us a bit about what you remember from that day and
yeah, just like I never got to play at Wembley as a player. It was probably, I ain't got loads of regrets, but it's definitely one of the things I look back on and think, I wish I'd have done that. So when we missed out the year before in the playoffs, I was gutted, because I might have made the bench. I was still playing at the time, so I'd have probably been on the bench and involved. So when we finally got there this year, I was just so thrilled to be a part of it. And then the whole day, I remember about Dill's mistake first of all, and you're thinking why the ball goes under his foot. He's not made a mistake all season barely, and then 10 minutes into the final, that happens. It's not going to be your day. But we fought back. The drama of it, the support that we had, and then scoring that goal in the last minute, just completely sort of lost my head, really. Didn't know what to do, where to run, but I knew I had to be a part of be involved.
Love that.
I just couldn't not be involved. So I almost went on the pitch, but somehow I just run down the line. The thing is, I knew the game was done as well, because I'd asked the fourth official just before we'd got the free kick in the build-up.
Yeah.
How long was left, and he said there's 30 seconds. So when we score, you're thinking, well, they ain't even got time now to get one. So it's done, and then you ping down the touchline, and then they all come running to me. So it was just felt massive part of it, and a bit overwhelmed, to be honest. It was all my playing career. I think in that moment it was as good a feeling as I've ever had.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah, you probably can't beat being a player and being involved in that, but there weren't a part of me that was thinking that at the time. I was just so involved in it, and thinking fine, and we've done it as well, against the odds, really. from where we was to get promoted, I think was some achievement by the lads.
Yeah, you're right.
What was it, Jack? Sorry, Jack.
Sunday.
You know you're going to go and watch the playoff final on repeat tonight, aren't you?
I think I'm going to as well.
I think I may well do, yeah. Carl, I don't really remember much after the game. What's your memories of after the game? What was the celebration like?
So like just being on the pitch. They told us that we went to Wembley in the build-up a couple of days before just to get a feel for the place and see the changing rooms and the pitch and all that. And they told us that security was red hot, that you can't have any like friends and family come on the pitch or anything like that. So then we was all celebrating stuff like that, and then I turned around and my kids were on the pitch. I don't know how they got there, but like I think their granddad had brought them down, and somehow they'd managed to get on the pitch, and it was the same for a few of them. So then to have your kids on the pitch with you and all that, got some great pictures, mad celebrations with a champagne lifting the cup. A bit gutted. I should have gone. I didn't go up and with the team. I don't know why I didn't do that. I don't know if it was
trying to distance yourself again.
Yeah, I don't know if the assistant manager's meant to go up there, but like, I half wish I had anyway.
Feels a bit John Terry to me, that.
It is a bit, isn't it? It's like, what are you doing up there? Like, so I watched them all do that, which is great. And then we had a mad part. So we had the Holiday Inn like conference room booked for after the game. But obviously, so we all agreed that we would go back there. Whatever happens, but you just don't know like what it's going to be like, do you? Like if you're going back there after defeat, you're probably all gonna have a beer together, but then you're just gonna sort of go home, aren't you? You're gonna be gutted. So you certainly ain't gonna be in the mood for a party. But obviously after, everyone went back there, friends, family. We just had the best night. It was it was brilliant. Just a big party back at the Holiday Inn. Like all the players, staff, families, all the staff from the Valley were there. It was like unbelievable. Everyone, I think a few of a load of the fans managed to get in as well towards the end. So it was just a mad, like from start to finish, just a mental day.
Were you last man standing?
I was right there till the death. Yeah, right there till the death.
Good man.
I think Jack was too.
I think just about. Yeah, nearly missed the flight the next morning.
So when Jack said we'd only keep you for 20 minutes, he clearly meant just on the Charlton bit. So
sorry about that.
We just got one last question. So our company, we're First Class Events, FCE. We run bespoke hospitality days for people. If we could take you to any event, sporting or non-sporting event in the world, and do the full FCE door-to-door service, what would it be?
Cool. Gonna have to be Charlton Gold Cup Day.
Oh, it's a cheap one, Cal. It's the cheapest one we've ever had.
We can sort that, no problem.
Well, I'll do it, and then I'll do an international one as well.
Oh, I don't know. I was going to say, it's normally Augusta or the Kentucky Derby
Augusta.
we get a lot of.
I never get an opportunity to go Gold Cup Day because it's always on a Friday, so I can never get out of that one. Never get out of training for that one. I've let you off the hook there with Gold Cup Day.
We'll take a cheap episode.
I'll take Masters Sunday. How about that? I'll add that. Masters Sunday.
Perfect.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, that one.
Two great sporting events. And just to clarify, if we get to 25k on the pitch, singing a song.
Yeah, as long as you take me to Augusta on the Sunday next year.
Brilliant. Top man,
Jacko. Thank you very much.
Yeah, really
appreciate
that.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Cheers, fellas.
Nice
one. Bye.